everyone, welcome back to Second Chance Exotics, and if this is your first time here, welcome. And of course, from the title of this video, we are going to be talking about the differences between leopard geckos and crested geckos. And I just want to let y'all know, disclaimer, I am not an expert in any way. These are my thoughts, opinions on them, and of course at the end I'm going to tell you which one out of the two that I would like, but I'm going to do a rough rundown of what are each of these animals and what you need to start up their enclosures. So let's get right into it. Okay, so this is a crested gecko. This is Renegade. I've had him for about 5 years now, and yeah, this is my boy that I've had the longest. But yeah, crested geckos are nocturnal, they are arboreal, so their enclosure is going to be vertical. They enjoy and will take advantage of that height versus the lengthy enclosure. So what I recommend is an 18 by 18 by 24, or which is like an Exoterra one, or you can get a 20-gallon long. And I'll have pictures of stuff that they would need. But yeah, so this is him full size. This is what he's gonna get to. There are some that have larger crests, which are just bigger heads, and I do have another boy who's slightly bigger than Renegade here, and Renegade isn't fancy in any way. He's just special to me, but yeah. So more on crested geckos, what you're going to need for them. You are going to need the tank first of all, and then again, like we said, they do enjoy that height, so I would suggest also getting some vines, foliage with leaves. They do sell them usually like 6 feet in length. I would get 2 to 3 of them, and then on top of that you could also get some vines. There's some black vines sold by Exoterra. I really like those, the smalls, and then I like twist them into braids, and those are really sturdy to where they won't fall off the enclosure, and that's actually one of Renegade's favorite spots to perch in it. Another thing that you can get are these, I think they're labeled as like bamboo sticks. They're 2 in a pack. They range, I think I see them at the store for $15, but on Chewy and Amazon they fluctuate. The next thing that you will need, or that will work better, is a substrate base. So with my enclosures, all but one, I use really sturdy paper towel. I don't skip out on the paper towel for them. I get them individual rolls of like heavy duty towels. Just don't skimp out if you are going to use this as a substrate. It just makes cleaning a lot more easier, just quicker in general, and it's really good. So I'd mark that around like $1 to like $3, but if you want to get fancy and do a bioactive enclosure, which will have multiple levels, so if you do want to get down to the nitty-gritty of how much it could cost, if you're doing everything yourself, DIY it, like as in like cleaning out the dirt and getting your own leaves and making your own like compost and roly-polies and all that stuff, I would say it would, the least I would say that I could pull it off with is like $25. If you're getting everything from the pet store and using it all for each layer, I would say it could go up to like $80 if you're doing every single thing by pet store prices. So I'm not going to include that with my price range for everything you need for them, but just saying you can do bioactive. That would work better if you do buy the Exoterra, because it does have that lip where you can put in the layer of substrate that's needed for the bioactive enclosure. And the other thing that you're going to need is a spray bottle. So I have a lot of crested gecko enclosures, so I actually use a mister, but let me show you those really quick. So this mister is nothing fancy. It was $13 at Home Depot, so you can definitely get one of these if you want. They do have smaller ones, or you can go to the dollar store, Walmart, or some other convenience store and get one of these dudes for just $1. You can even get like a 2 or 3 pack for like less than $1 each for them. If you do go to the pet store and get your spray bottles or misters, they could go up to like $15, and they're not the best in my opinion. There are some misters at Home Depot that are like $8, and they're gonna work way better for you, last a lot longer, and just because they slap on a reptile label for the misters and stuff, misters and sprays at pet store, they're really overpriced to me. But yeah. So another thing that you're going to need is going to be some type of reptile cleaning solution. You can make your own for sure. I just choose not to, so I get this guy and I get another one. It's a little green bottle, but these guys run for about like $8 to $15. They have reptile cleaning kits if you want them. You can definitely get those, or like I said, you can make your own, but I would definitely prefer buying them online. And so the other thing that I would suggest you get is going to be a humid hide. So yes, these guys are going to be spending most of their time like up in the vines and stuff, but you do want to make sure you give them a humid hide. You can definitely DIY it and get one of these guys. I just got a soldering iron and cut a little hole in there, put some eco earth, and then you mist it down every other day. Or you can get fancy and get one from a pet store or Amazon or something. So this one comes apart, and I have eco earth in there as well, so you can get these as well. I would say those guys run from anywhere from free, doing it yourself, all the way up to about 25 bucks. It depends on how big you want it and where you're getting them from. But yeah, another thing that I would suggest getting is a thermometer and hydrometer. I would prefer the digital guys. So this one has a temperature and the humidity in there. You can get the suction cup ones that stick on. I just don't feel like those are very accurate, and I buy these from Amazon. They're in like the plants category, so you can get these really inexpensive online, or you can go to the pet store, and they do, I would say, go up to like 15-20 bucks. I think I usually see them in like the 10-15 range, but I would say anywhere from like 3 to 15 bucks is the range for those. The next thing you are going to be needing is food. So what I get is Repashy or Pangea Crested Gecko diet. You literally get this. It's powder, so you do one part powder to 2 parts water, mix it all together, and you can put it in a little dish that you can get from Walmart or a pet store, or I like to get lids from bottles and stuff, just because I do have a lot more reptiles. But you can get little dishes like this one. It's a little dirty, don't look at it too close. But yeah, you can definitely use one of these if you want. It's just really big, and in my opinion, a little wasteful, but if I only had 1 or 2, I can't say that I wouldn't use one of these. So you can definitely get one of these from the pet store, or get something in the kitchen supply area at your supermarket. So I would range those from free to about 10-15 bucks, depending on where you get them and what you want to use, whether that be bottle caps or a ceramic dish. And I would say get ceramic. And then from there, you're also going to want to get some calcium and D3 and multivitamins. So this is a multivitamin that I use that I mix in with their food. And then this is the calcium and D3 that I use. I would range these guys between like 5 and 10 bucks as well. Those. And then another thing that you should definitely get is a dechlorinator for the water, because you will be spraying their enclosure twice a day. So I have this big one. It is for fish, but you do see here removes chlorine and chlorides. So that's the thing that you are looking for. And because I have an aquarium and I have a lot of geckos here, and I use the mister, I just get this pump one, and it does the exact same thing. And it's, in my opinion, a lot less expensive, especially if you just want to get a regular one that doesn't have one of these pumps. Buying the dechlorinator from the fish section is going to be a lot less expensive than getting the ones in the reptile section. I think it's called like ReptiSafe, but just getting ones from the fish section will be less expensive. So the total cost for getting a Crested Gecko, with going to the store and buying everything new, I took off the DIY parts where they zeroed out. I put the highest number for those, and then also for the cages, these are cages at full price, not the $20 to $40 where you can get them on Craigslist and stuff. It is between $114 and $345 for the supplies for your Crested Gecko. And let's move on to Leopard Geckos. This is my Leopard Gecko, Ferdinand. I rescued all of my Leopard Geckos, all but 2, and I have 9 of them, so I'm not sure. He could just be a big boy, but I think Ferdinand could be a giant. Not sure. If you want to let me know or have any thoughts, you can definitely put them in the comments. But yeah, this is a Leopard Gecko. These guys are most active during dusk and dawn. They are a lot more handleable than Crested Geckos. These guys you can let walk around on your bed, monitor them, play around with them a bit. And the main difference with these guys is they also they only eat live. So live crickets, mealworms, superworms, dubia roaches, you have to get live. Don't you dare get any of those, what do they call, like freeze-dried mealworms and stuff. Don't you dare get those. They definitely need live food. They don't need to eat as often as Crested Geckos, which Crested Geckos about every other day. With Leopard Geckos, you, just depending on how fast their metabolism is and everything, I would say 2 times a week. If that, sometimes Ferdinand does get a little thick at times, so I do occasionally skip a feeding and only feed him once a week. But yeah, so that's a big difference there. And in the price breakdown, I'm not going to include the food, because you can get something like crickets, which is like It could be, I would say like 6 to 13 cents per cricket, or you can get like little containers of mealworms or super worms that have about 30 to 50 in there, and the prices do range there as well. It could be $3, it could be $10, depending on where you're going. But yeah, so with them though, with leopard geckos, you are looking at floor space for them. So a 20-gallon long is ideal. If you want to get something bigger, you definitely can, but the 20 gallons in general, I do suggest a critter cage. It's not a cage, but that's the brand. These are the tanks. I really love them. Definitely suggest them. If you do want to go bigger, definitely go bigger. I have a huge enclosure for a pair of my leopard geckos, and let me just say in general now, since I did say the pair of them, in general, don't go into getting leopard geckos thinking that you can cohab them, which means putting more than one together. With Crested Geckos, if you get a big enough enclosure, you could put more than one female with another female. Don't put a male and a female, because breeding or like other stuff, different video. But yeah, so one leopard gecko, 20-gallon long, that works. So as for that substrate, I would stick with paper towels. You can get newspaper. There's such thing as reptile carpet. You can get that. You can get fancy and get tile. I use tile for my bearded dragon, and then the other half is reptile bark. So you can definitely play around with that. So I would say it's between like 1 to upwards of like 20 bucks for the substrate for your leopard gecko. And then you also need cleaning supplies. So one of these dudes, again, I forgot what I said, but like, yeah, 5 to 15 bucks. I think that's what I said. But yeah, so around that. One of the differences with their feeding dishes, because it is going to be live food, I would suggest a tall ceramic cup. So let me show you one real quick. So this is the one I use for mealworms. This is the one I use for super worms and dubia roaches, and then crickets. I sometimes keep them in here, but with my bigger leopard geckos like Ferdinand and Daisy, I just give them large crickets, and there's no point in putting them in here. But yeah, and if you do see there's like a little powdery residue at the bottom with the live bugs, you do want to sprinkle calcium with vitamin D3 in there. And then another thing that I would suggest you getting is a little calcium dish. I got this from Strudels. He's on eBay, and they're on eBay, sorry. And they do 3D printing where they make a lot of reptile supplies, and this came in a little bundle of things that I got for Christmas from my significant other. And yeah, the point is, I fill this little thing up with a little scoop of just straight calcium, and they actually do lick it up. I do have this in every single one of my leopard gecko enclosures, and they do like to lick up the calcium separately from eating it off of the bugs. Another thing that you absolutely must get is going to be a heat pad. This is a heat pad that I got from Amazon, where you can adjust the heat flow. You can get them from the pet store. If you are getting a 20-gallon long, this is about the size that I would suggest for you. You should also get a temperature gauge, and what I like to have in general is a handy dandy temperature gun. You point it somewhere and it tells you the temperature. I really like this dude. I use it all the time for my Crested Gecko, Leopard Geckos, bearded dragon, all of them. So definitely suggest one of these regardless of what animal you're getting. So that'd be nice. And I would also suggest hides. You can get hides in any way you want. You can get them like this, like we saw earlier that I used for a human hide. You can get this dude, a half log, or one of my favorites is cork bark. This is a cork round, and here it is. This is actually from Ferdinand's enclosure. I love cork bark. I break these apart and use them for my small Crested Gecko tubs, but if I was able to, I would get every enclosure, like I would have every enclosure have some cork bark on it, because it is really nice. And the next, oh, and all of that, so I would suggest at least 2 hides and 1 humid hide, preferably 3 hides and a humid hide. Each of those would be costing roughly $0, because if you want to DIY them, all the way up to like $25, $30 each, but we will stick with a minimum of 2 hides and 1 humid hide. So let's get that there. Another thing that you can get, and this is optional, but decor for your leopard gecko. Let me grab some things real quick. Okay, so this thing, I got from Amazon for $1. I think they have these at pet stores though too for like a lot more. This guy I got from Michael's for like 70 cents. I think I took all of them. I think I have think I have like 9 of these spread out amongst my leopard gecko enclosures. So you can definitely look around. And look, it was originally $15, but then I got it last winter, and yeah, it was like 75 cents. And then you could also get this dude. I got this second hand when I got a leopard gecko. This came with all of their stuff. This is really cute to me because then they can kind of like hide in here too. So I love this, but I think I found it at the pet store for like $15, and I was like, I'm okay. I'm fine. So yeah, those range from like, I would say like $1 up to like $20. Some of them are kind of like big, like especially like grape wood and stuff, or a large piece of cork bark could be used as decor, and those get kind of pricey. But literally, you can go shopping at your we have a Joann's Fabrics. I go there occasionally. Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You can find some really neat, cute stuff, and of course, this is optional, but totally makes a difference in your leopard gecko's enclosure. And let's see. Oh yeah, I didn't say the price for the tank, but hopefully I popped it in there. Again, with their tank, you can find it on, or any of these things, you can find on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. I, for the most part, got like 50% of my stuff secondhand. 25 I bought, and the other 25 I DIY'd, which was like almost all of my hides. But I mean my humid hides. But continuing, so as far as live food, like I said, it does fluctuate a lot. So I will say between $3 and $15 on a week-ish basis. But again, I'm not going to include that in the overall cost. So overall, with the 20-gallon tank going from $40 to $75 brand new, and going with a mid-cost for 3 hides, 1 humid hide, and mid-cost for feeding dish, I would say on the low end you can get a rough setup for about $85. Higher end is around $315. And again, just shopping around on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace definitely can make a difference, especially if you want to DIY these things. If you go to different stores like craft shops, go in different sections like the fish section. In general, now I'm speaking for both leopard geckos and crested geckos, you can find a lot of stuff. I will say some of my favorite foliage vines are from Michael's. They come in like chain links, so especially with my smaller crested geckos, I like those because then they can also hook onto the chain link or the leaves. And I get 50%, 40% off coupons all the time from them, and those are about $12 themselves, so when I go with the coupon, it's a great price. They do have them, I think they're called flukers, 6-foot pothos vines. I do see those online for a pretty inexpensive amount. Those can fluctuate between like $3 to $15, and it's the same pothos flukers brand vine, but it does fluctuate a lot. And the cool thing about the flukers one, I hope I'm saying that right, they do have wiring on them, so you can adjust them to whatever you want. And these are like the bare minimum stuff and suggestions that I'm giving. There are so many other things that you can use in their enclosures. I do have a like walkthrough on how I set up my bigger enclosure for my leopard geckos, and I do show how I set up my 40-gallon long crested gecko enclosure, so there are a lot of things that you can see on there as well. I hope I didn't really skip very much, but this was a broad overview on things that you would need for crested geckos and leopard geckos. The ones that I prefer are crested geckos. I breed crested geckos. I don't know, I just think they're so amazing. I love leopard geckos too. I have 9 of them. They are, for the most part, all rescues. I love them both. It's just I am more invested scientifically, just educationally on, do you see Ferdinand? on crested geckos. So I do lean towards them more, but I love my leopard geckos, and yeah. I would say crested geckos are more of an animal to look at and admire, while leopard geckos, you can let roam around. They do enjoy exploring their environment, versus crested geckos, they do have toe pads where if you do handle them, the oils on your skin do actually mess with their toe pads to where they can't climb as efficiently, and basically the oils on your skin make their toe pads lose their grip. I had a word for it and then I lost it, but yeah, so in those situations you would also want to put your crested gecko in a sauna, which I can tell you about later on. But yeah, crested geckos, definitely visual. You look at them, they're beautiful. Leopard geckos are more of like dogs where you can play with them, they love to explore. It's cool to watch them eat and all that fun stuff. I will say, if just live food is not your thing, if it's gross, if it just doesn't sit right with you, if you're allergic to something, as far as the insects, then don't get one, because there's no way around it. You have to feed them live food. You have to feed them on a regular basis. You should never ever feed them frozen dried food. And yeah. But yeah, that was my 2 cents on leopard geckos and crested geckos. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. It gave you a little bit of footing on where to start if you did want to get one or the other or both. And yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's day and stay safe, okay? Bye.